Iram, can you hear Aisha?
No, sir, I can't.
All right. Now I can see 2 accounts joined. Aisha, are you there? Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, very well. Good. Okay, so let's go to Iram today for a brief summary, of what we did. I think we started with the leaf, right? Stem. Okay, stem onwards.
Okay.
Yes.
Is the ascending part that grows out of the soil. Stem bears branches, leaves, flowers, and fruits. It develops from the plumule of the embryo of a germinating seed. Primary function of a stem is support. Stem initially is green in color, young and soft. Later it becomes woody. It also conducts water and minerals from root to leaves for the process of photosynthesis. Some stem perform special functions like storage of food, support, protection, and vegetative propagation as well. Now is modification of a stem. Underground stem of potato, ginger, and turmeric are modified to store food. Tendrils are developed from axillary bud. Stem tendrils helps the plant to climb up on a support structure, as in cucumbers and pumpkins, melons, grapes, etc. Axillary bud of stem may modify into woody, straight, and pointed thorns, as in citrus and bougainvillea. Plants of arid regions modify their stem to flattened, which prevent loss of water. Example, Opuntia. We have
Okay.
leaves.
Then we started with leaf. Yes, right.
Leaf is lateral, generally flattened structure that arise from the nodes of the stem. Leaf develops at the node itself and bears a bud in its axil. Leaves are of vegetative reproduction and also carry out photosynthesis. A typical leaf consists of 3 parts: leaf base, petiole, lamina. Axillary bud can later develop into a branch or a flower. Petiole helps to hold the blade or move the blade towards light. In some plant, leaf base becomes swollen and it is called as pulvinous. Leaf base is where leaf attaches to the existing branch and can also bear smaller leaf-like structure called as stipules. So stipules are very fine leaf-like structure present at the base. The lamina, also known as the leaf blade, is a large green surface with veins in it. Venations in leaf. Next, there are 2 types of venations: reticulate and parallel. Reticulate venation is seen in dicots, and parallel venation is seen in monocots. Reticulate venation, there is a network of veins present which are irregularly distributed, and in parallel venations, veins are parallel to each other.
Yes, and I think then we were just starting with types of leaves, right?
Simple.
And I told you I think we have to start today from types of leaf, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So let's come to types of leaves then. And this example here that you're seeing, where this kind of leaf, one single leaf, is known as a simple leaf. Okay. So it is called simple when the lamina, you can see this lamina, is entire, like it's just one leaf, one lamina. Okay. Or in some cases, there can be incisions in the lamina, but these incisions do not reach the midrib, like this, they do not touch the midrib. Okay, then in both these cases, it is called a simple leaf. So write down. The first type of leaf is a simple leaf. Okay, where the lamina is entire or complete. lamina is complete or may have incisions. Or may have incisions, but the thing is that these incisions should not touch the midrib. Right? But the incisions do not touch the midrib. Okay. Is it clear? And now what happens is, if you see that these incisions, basically this incision, if it comes and touches the midrib, okay, if it touches the midrib, then the leaf becomes compound. So these two kind of leaves that you're seeing here, this one and this one, are compound leaves. Okay. Now in compound leaves, what happens is, write down. In a compound leaf, the incisions of the lamina. So if you look here, just imagine that this was one leaf, right? Like this. Can you imagine it as one leaf attached to this one thing through a petiole? Yes. Or this also as one leaf. If you imagine like this as one leaf, so it looks like that their incisions like this were so deep that they started touching the midrib. So this is the midrib. You understand? And these leaves are at the periphery. So they are leaflets. So we don't call them leaf, we call them, in a compound leaf, we call them leaflets. So write down, in a compound leaf, the incisions of the lamina reach up to the midrib, reach all the way or reach up to the midrib, breaking it into a number of leaflets. Breaking it into a number of leaflets. Is it clear? Now, how do we distinguish leaflets from a leaf? You know, why are we saying that these are small leaflets and not a leaf? Because leaf has this one characteristic. If I go up, remember when we were drawing leaf, look at this axillary bulb, right? So this bud can be present at this axil. That's why it's called axillary bud. It's present on this axil, the space between the branch and the petiole, where the petiole joins the branch. At this junction, there can be an axillary bud in a leaf, right? Do you understand, both of you, Aisha and Iram?
Yes.
But in case of leaflets, let me insert a picture from your NCERT that will help me explain this case better. Yes. Do you see this picture? Oh, this picture. Everyone can see this. Just one moment. Can you see this picture, both of you? So this is a compound leaf. This is from your NCERT. So if you see this part carefully, look here, or this part carefully. So this is the stem and this looks like the petiole, right? And this is the branch. Same is here. This is the branch. And this is the acting like a petiole, correct? Yes or no? These are two type of compound leaf. We'll come to it later. But you see, look at this red mark. The possibility of growing a bud here is there. A bud, axillary bud can grow here. Okay. Now, this is what I was talking about, that this is actually looking like one leaf. So if you imagine this as one leaf, do you understand what I'm trying to tell here, Iram and Aisha? So you can get a bud here, axillary bud. So let me mark this. Okay, here also it's present. It's possible, but you cannot get. So if these were true leaves, so these are called leaflets. What are they called? Leaflets. Because here at this region, use red. At this region or at this region, you cannot find axillary bud. Is it clear? It can only be found here. Aisha and Iram, is it clear? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So these are two different kinds of compound leaves. One is called pinnate and one is called palmate. So this look like a palm. If these are fingers, one, so it is arranged as a palm, right? If you open your hand, palm, you will see this kind of arrangement, right? So this is palmate arrangement, just like a palm of your palm. And this kind of arrangement is called pinnate arrangement. There can be two type of compound leaves. Please draw this and mark all these features right now. Let me know when you're done. Try to be as fast as you can and let me know when you're done.
Done.
Done, Aisha? What about you?
Yes, done.
Done? Okay. Very well. So you understood the difference between a compound and a simple leaf?
Yes.
So write down this point. In case of a or write down axillary bud is found in the axil of petiole. Axillary bud is found in the axil of petiole. In both simple and compound leaves. In both simple and compound leaves. But it's not found in the axil. Of leaflets of the compound leaf. Okay, so if you think that here, the thing that is I'm marking here, so these regions are the axils of the leaflets, right? Can you see what I'm marking here, everyone? But you will not find any axillary bud in this region, but you will find it here between petiole, axil of the petiole. Okay. Similarly, you will not find no axillary bud here in this axil. Here, no axillary bud. All right, write down next point. The compound leaves is of two types. Compound leaf is of two types. First is pinnate compound leaf. Pinnate compound leaf, where the leaflets are present on a common axis. On a common axis, and that axis is called rachis. This one here, rachis. Rachis is that common axis. If this all these leaflets were one single leaf, this rachis would have been the midrib. Are you getting it? I hope it's making sense, right? Iram and Aisha? Yes, no, maybe something. Okay, very well. Yes, I forgot that you people are good with emojis. Yes, you can do that. Speak without speaking. Yes. So what I was saying, yes. So pinnate leaf is where there's a common axis called rachis, okay, and which represents the midrib. So the example of this kind of arrangement is neem. You know what is neem? Neem tree, write down. Rachis represents the midrib of the leaf. Rachis represent the midrib of the leaf. Rachis represents the midrib of the leaf. Example is neem. So pinnate leaf is present in neem. Then next, write down the palmate compound leaves. The palmate compound leaves. It's like a palm. There, write down. The leaflets are attached the leaflets are attached to a common point or at a common point. Like you can see here, if I mark the common point as red, this is the common point, right? Can you see a common point in this palmate thing where all the leaves are attached? At a common point at the tip of petiole. At the tip of petiole. An example is silk cotton. Silk cotton tree. It has palmate leaves. Now morphology, now leaf arrangement and structure is one feature of the morphology of flowering plants. But due to this leaf pattern, we can do phylotaxic studies. Okay, so phylotaxy, let's come to this point. There is a whole branch in botany that studies plants on the basis of their leaf patterns, leaf arrangement. And that branch is called phylotaxy. And it can be defined as it is the pattern of arrangements. Pattern of arrangements of leaves on a branch or stem. Okay, that's called phylotaxy. Simple. So if you want to study plants, you have to study their pattern of arrangement of leaves on a branch. And by this way, we can put all the plants in three categories. Okay, so phylotaxy is of three types. First is alternate. Alternate phylotaxy. Or alternate pattern. Okay, the second is opposite. Opposite pattern. And the third is whorled. 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 These are the three phylotaxic patterns in plants, on the basis of which you can study, classify and study plants. Okay, leaf patterns. Now, to give you a better context, let me. Do you all have NCERT with you? Yes, this is it. Can you see this picture, everyone?
Yes.
Let me make it a little bigger. Okay. Yes. See this? This is an example in China rose. And if you see the pattern in China rose, that is alternate. Can you see that pattern? Alternate simply means that along a axis, one leaf is here, then the other will be here. Then one leaf here, the other will be here. Then one here, the other will be here. Do you understand? Can you see that this is one, then this is one. They are not in axis. They don't have a sync axis, right? So that's called alternate pattern. Make sense? Write down. In alternate, a single leaf arises at each node. In alternate pattern, a single leaf arises at each node. Now let's come to the second part, which is the opposite pattern. So this one is the opposite. In opposite, see that there's a axis, and on the same nodes there will be two leaves in opposite orientation. Is it clear? Can you see here? At every node there are two leaves. Yes. So write down. In opposite, so examples here are China rose. You can also write some more examples like mustard is there, sunflower is there, sunflower, mustard. And for opposite it's guava, but write down in opposite pattern, a pair of leaves arise at each node. In opposite pattern, a pair of leaves arise at each node. Okay. The most famous important example is guava. And apart from guava, you can write Calotropis. Okay. Calotropis also has opposite pattern. And the third is Volt. So this is the third one, the Volt pattern. So can you see that what happens in this pattern is at different levels. So let's say at this level, you will have a pattern like this. Then at another level, you will have another pattern like this. You understand, everyone? So at different levels, there will be multiple leaves which are joined at the same point. So in opposite, there were only two leaves at each node. Here there are multiple leaves at each node in a circle, in a hole. That's why it's called Volt pattern. Okay. So write down, in Volt pattern, more than two leaves. In Volt pattern, more than two leaves arise at a particular node. Arise at a particular node and form a whorl, WHORL, and form a whorl. So example here is very beautiful Elstonia plant. Have you seen the flowers of Elstonia? Elstonia is a very common ornamental flower or roadside flower for where like in buildings, etc. people want to put flowers. They can do it. They mostly grow Elstonia.
So
Yes.
So this one Volt phyllotaxy kind of resembles palmately compound leaves.
It resembles what? No. So palmate is not wool. See here, all these leaves are in one axis, like a palm. Look at your palm. and your wrist is the point where your palm is connected to your wrist, right? Whereas in a whole, you say that if you just take one layer, let's say this layer, yes, then you can say that there are multiple points connected to this one stem. So this is one single stem, and at one point, but in a palmate leaves, it is in this orientation, like your palm in 2D. Whole is a 3D. You understand? It's making a circle. Your fingers are not making a circle, no? And it is not in the perpendicular orientation to your wrist. It is just in the line. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yeah. So is phyllotaxy clear to you? Phyllotaxy and types of leaves, both are clear to you? Please note this down. Okay, now quickly tell me, let's come to the last part for leaves also, and we always end every section with modifications. So quickly tell me the modifications. This you will tell. What is the primary function of leaf? What is the primary function of leaf? Ash? Ash, you're not audible to me. Yes, Hiram.
Sir, I said photosynthesis.
Yes, right. Photosynthesis is the primary function. So modifications will be doing something apart from that. So tell me now quickly, what are the modifications of leaves? No, you no idea about any modification of leaf? So one example is tendrils. You know tendrils? Some climbers have leaf, and at some points they have structures like this, right? Spring-like structures. You have not seen this structure? Known as tendrils. So tendrils are leaf modifications, write down. Some in some plants have tendrils. Like in peas. So in a pea plant, you will have tendrils. Tendrils are leaf modifications. That help a climber plant attach to surfaces and grow up. Attach to surfaces and grow up. So first modification is tendrils. Any other modification you can remember now?
Spines.
Apart for protect, yes, right. So they can form spines. Okay, and spines are leaf modifications for protection. For defense and protection. And this happens in pea plant, and this happens in cactus plant. Okay, everyone. Sometimes, as I also told you, fleshy leaf.
Onions.
Yes, fleshy leaves for food storage. And this modification happens in onions and garlic. Food, the leaves become fleshy and store food. Okay. Sometimes leaves can be modified to a very large extent. For example, in pitcher plant, okay, and Venus flytrap. So carnivorous or insectivorous. So in them, write down the leaf modifies trap animals. And your example is pitcher plant. So in this, the pitcher is actually a leaf. Pitcher plant and Venus flytrap. If you look at these two structures, they are nothing but modified leaves. The Venus and the trap in a the pitcher and the trap in the Venus flytrap are leaf modifications. Okay, so these are some major ones. Like in aloe vera, the leaf modifies to become fleshy and store food. Okay, yeah, that's all. So that's done. Now, please write this down. Let me know. Done? Iram and Aisha?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I think the leaf is done. We are not leaving anything now. And I hope you both are also going back and reading from NCERT, right? When we're covering the topics. If something is missed, which the chances are less, but do let me know. Inflorescence. So what is inflorescence? Next thing that we are going to, next morphological feature. So if there is only one flower, one single flower that you see, mostly we see flowers on plants as single entities, right? They are visible. You can see, but sometimes what happens is many flowers are just present together in a bunch. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Let me, if you have NCERT, please go to your NCERT and let me figure. Let me take this figure from your NCERT. We were talking about mango flowers, right? Mango inflorescence. So mango does not have flowers, it has inflorescence. Yes. Do you see, have you seen something like this? Aisha and Iram? How many flowers do you see in this? So many. Yeah, do you see that? So all of these, all of them are actually flowers, right? They are bud, they will also develop into flowers, but there are multiple flowers together. So this is known as inflorescence. So how do we define it? Write down. Inflorescence is defined as an arrangement of flowers, an arrangement of multiple flowers. An arrangement of multiple flowers on the floral axis. On the floral axis of a plant. If you see here, it's, you see this is an axis, right? It's going up. Can you see this axis that I'm marking in the red? And then from here comes this one. And on this you see multiple flowers. Can you see this arrangement? I'm taking this example. Everyone can see this arrangement. This axis is at an angle. Okay. Does it make sense, Ilham and Asha? Do you understand what is inflorescence? So multiple flowers arranged in a pattern on the floral axis is called inflorescence. If it is one single flower, then it's a solitary flower. It's called a flower. Okay. And if you have to make an inflorescence, then of course each individual flower will be small, but will be a part of a big group. I hope I'm audible, right? And fluorescence are of two kinds. First is called racemose. Racemose inflorescence. How to remember this? What is race? They are racing, so they keep growing. Okay, so in racemose, write down, in racemose type of inflorescence, this is an example of racemose here. Racemose inflorescence. So write down, in racemose inflorescence, the main axis continues to grow. The main axis, so it's like this. This is the main axis. It will continue to grow, and then on the side axis there will be many flowers. Okay, so this will grow up, there will be another axis coming, and there will be many flowers again. This will again continue to grow. So in the racemose, the main axis continues to grow, and the flowers are born laterally. And the flowers are born laterally in a acropetal succession. Acropetal. There are two terms that I will explain you now. One is acropetal and the other is basipetal. Versus basipetal. Okay. If something is growing, so this is the base, right? And it's going up. Okay, Iram and Asha, are you listening?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So from a base, something is growing up. If the new flower or anything new, if the new growth is happening towards the top, okay, towards this side, then it's called acropetal growth. The new things are forming towards the top. Basipetal is when the growth is happening in one direction, but the new things are new synthesis is happening towards the base from where it is growing in the opposite direction of the growth. So have you seen our nails growing? Our nails grow, but where does the new nail is growing towards what? So if you see a finger, let's say this is a finger, so you know that there is nail, right? This is the nail. Correct? Clear? So it has a nail bed. Okay, and then as the nail grows, you see that it becomes like this, then it becomes like this, and then it keeps growing. Yes or no? Yes. So this is the side which is the top, like farthest most. Does the new does the new nail growth happens here or here? So this is the base of the nail. Where does the new nail grow? Where is the growth and division happening? At the base or towards the side which is coming beyond the edge of the finger? I think any one of you or both of you, have you applied mehendi henna on your nails? Yes. Yes. So what happens when you apply henna? You color the nails, right, along with the finger, right? Yes. Then after some time, do you observe something like this, that everything is colored, but there will be a part which is uncolored here?
Yes.
What is happening basically? The nail is growing out, right? Nail grows inward to outward. So the new nail that is formed towards the base, and that does not have the color of the henna because you didn't apply it there. Same happens with someone gets their hair colored. If you get your hair colored right from the base, after few weeks, the newer hair towards your scalp will be non-colored, right? So these kind of growths are called basipetal. They are happening towards the base. And in the race moss, the growth of these flowers or the formation of these flowers is happening in the acropetal towards the outer edge, towards the direction of the growth. Is that clear? What is basipetal and what is acropetal?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So in race moss inflorescence, the growth of the flower is acropetal. So flowers are born laterally in an acropetal succession. Okay. Now the second type of inflorescence, write down. Second type of inflorescence is cymose, racemose and cymose inflorescence. You could have guessed already that in a cymose inflorescence, the main axis terminates in a flower. The main axis does not continue to grow. The main axis terminates, and to terminates into a flower only. So the point is, here what's happening is, this is the main axis growing from the base, and you see there are flowers here, there are flowers here, there are multiple flowers here, and then this main axis also develops into flower, so it stops. You understand? It cannot go beyond. It's like the wall at the end of the road. So write down, cymose inflorescence is limited in growth. Cymose inflorescence is limited in growth. And in this, write down, flowers, new flowers are born. New flowers are born in a basipetal order. In cymose, new plants are born in basipetal order. Okay. Is it clear, people? Cymose, racemose, both inflorescence are clear. Okay, very well. Now let's come to flower and single. Let's talk about a single flower. And this is going to be a big topic because we have to learn a lot of things about flower only. Now, what is a single one flower? So we understood that inflorescence is a bunch of flowers present on the floral axis together, arranged in a pattern. But what is a flower? Aishan, you know, the one flower is something that we present to our loved ones or in remembrance or to pay respect. But apart from that, what it is biologically? Do all plants produce flower? First question.
No.
No. Okay, so the plants which produce flowers, what are they called?
Angiosperms.
angiosperms. And what are the other type of plants that do not produce flowers called? Gymnosperms, bryophyte, pteridophyte. These all are plants which do not produce flowers. But gymnosperms produce seeds. So both angiosperms and gymnosperms produce seed, but gymnosperm produce seed without producing flowers. So it's called naked seed. Whereas in angiosperms, the seed is present or is formed within the flower when it is ripening into a fruit. So that's a covered seed. So covered seed and naked seed. Is it clear, Ramanasha?
Yes.
And so all plants do not produce flowers. Written. Very good. But plants like angiosperms that produce flowers, what are they? Why do they produce flowers? What is the function of it? What are they, in short? They are the reproductive structures of angiosperms. Write down. Flowers are the reproductive structures or reproductive units of angiosperms. By reproductive unit, I mean they are only produced. They have just one function. They are only produced for sexual reproduction of flowering plants, which are angiosperms. No other motive. Okay. Now, every flower, if you look carefully at a flower, every flower has around 4 layers. Have you ever observed a flower? Iram and Aisha, have you observed flower?
Yes.
Okay. So let's draw one. And you help me. So you all know that flowers, at the base, they have this swollen kind of structure, right? From which these green these kind of structures arise. Am I clear? Can you tell me what are these structures? And what is this swollen part at the base? So this thing goes long and gets attached to something, right? Like a flower. So this is what it what attaches is called a stalk or pedicel, right? And this swollen part here is called thalamus, or it is also known as receptacle. Is it clear? And on the top of it, the second layer, this is called, you must have studied sepals, right? You know the word sepals?
Yes.
Scientifically, it's called calyx. And then in every flower, there is petals, right? You understand what I'm making basically? I'm so sorry for making this kind of a flower, but they are called petals. And biologically they are known as corolla. So calyx, so stalk helps the flower to attach it with the branch or stem. Then thalamus is the swollen part. At the base of the flower. Then come sepals, and sepals are the first whole or first layer that protects. Have you seen a flower coming out of a bud? So before it flowers, before it opens, where it is present? In a bud, right? Before opening, which you can also see here in one of these. Can you see here? Look at this one. This is green. Let me mark someone with red. So look at this one. Can you see this one? It's a bud, right? It's not yellow, it's green. Aisha and Iram, can you see? Can you follow?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that is a bud. So bud is nothing but a closed flower where just sepals are visible from outside. That's why buds are green in color. So sepals form the first whole or the first layer. And they are protective in nature. Second layer is formed by petals. Petals are the second whole or second layer. And then comes third is Androasium. So in this case, I am drawing a bisexual flower. Bisexual means what do we mean by bisexual?
Having both male and female reproductive parts.
Yes. So let me use yellow and make. So what happens in bisexual flowers is that there are these kind of structures that produce pollen grains, right? So multiple of these structures, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
So these are called Androasium. Androasium. The word andro in biology is always associated with males. Androgens are hormones which are produced in male or are male hormones. Like testosterone is an androgen in humans. Does it make sense, Iram and Aisha?
Yes.
So this Androasium is also known as stamen. This you must have heard in your junior classes, right? Stamen. And in the stamen, there are two things. So this part, which is of the stamen, is called filament. And this small part is called anther, right? Anther contains pollen grains. So anther and filament both makes stamen only. Is it clear?
Yes.
Then in this swollen part, there is one more structure here, which is like this. So it goes long. And it looks like this, right? This structure. So Androasium is the third layer, the third whole. So write down. Third whole is Androasium from the outside towards in. And then there is Gynoasium. The word gyne, you know that it is always associated with females, right? Gynecologist. Have you heard this word in biology?
Yes.
Gynecologist? Yes, it means it's related to female. So Gynoasium, and the word that you must have heard is pistil, right? Pistil. And Gynoasium has 3 parts. The first one here is called stigma, and this long thing is called style, and this swollen part, which is covered by like thalamus tissue, is called ovary. So stigma, style, and ovary are the 3 parts of Gynoasium. Is it clear? And Gynoasium is the 4th whole. The 4th layer, the innermost layer. Is it clear, everyone? Please draw this and label each and every part of the flower. All the 4 layers and every part of the flowers. Then I'll dictate you certain things about flower. Okay, you draw this and make a label diagram. I'll be back in a couple of minutes. Get myself water. Okay, Aisha and Iram?
Yes.
Okay, done, Aisha and Iram?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Iram?
Yes.
Okay. So the overall structure is clear. Now it's a bisexual flower because it contains both male and female structures. If a flower contains just a male or a female structure, it's called a monosexual or a unisexual flower. Okay. Now start writing some things about the parts. Write down first part calyx, which is sepal. Calyx or sepal. Write down it is the outermost layer. It's green in color. Its outermost layer. It is green in color. Leaf-like. It is green in color and leaf-like. And protects the flower. And protects the flower. In the bud stage. Okay, so that's about sepal. Protects the flower in the bud stage. Now the calyx can be of two types on the basis of whether all the sepals are united together or they are free. Okay, so if they are united together, all the sepals are united together, it is called gamosepalous. So write down if all the sepals are united together in a calyx, it's called gamosepalous. Where the second one is polysepalous. What does the word poly means?
Many.
Yes, sepals are many and they are free. They are not united to each other. They are not conjoined with each other. Okay, is that clear? Next, write down corolla. Corolla. Corolla is made up of, like corolla is basically petals. So what are petals? Write down petals are usually brightly colored. Petals are usually brightly colored and have good fragrance. Why? Why do they have bright color or fragrance? Petals are mostly brightly colored and have good fragrance. Why? Can you think of any reason for this?
To attract insects.
Yes, to attract pollinators, insects, basically. Insects are also pollinators, but sometimes birds as well. Small birds are also attracted for nectar and smell and color. So write down to attract pollinators like insects and small birds. To attract pollinators like insects and small birds. And similarly, just like calyx, just like the sepals, petals can also be of two types on the basis of if they are joined together or if they are separate. For example, you have seen rose, right? Rose flower.
Yes.
Each petal is united or separate?
Separated.
Yes, all the petals are free. So, you take one petal at a time and you can just keep plucking one petal at a time for the rose. But have you seen the flowers like tulip? Tulip or bell-shaped flowers, long flowers. their petals are all united, right, to make a bell-like structure, closed bell. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Tubular, funnel shaped, or bell shaped. So there it's united. So if petals are all united together, they are called gamopetalous. Just like gamosepalous, there is gamopetalous, petals united together. Okay. And if the petals are free, it's called polypetalous. Okay. Make sense to both of you? Done? Also, just write down that corolla is corolla is very diverse in colors and also shapes. Corolla is also very diverse in colors and shapes. And about this, I think we have to begin the next class because if I start, we will not be able to finish it. How much time do we have? 5 minutes. Okay, so let's end here today's class. And then from tomorrow's class, we will start talking about the different shapes of corolla and on the basis of which plants are segregated into 5 different types. Basically, flowers are segregated into 5 different types. Then we'll come to Androasium and Gynoasium. We have to read all the 4 layers, and that's where the flower will finish. Okay, so in the next class we'll finish flowers and also the fruit and the seed. Okay. Shainiram, do you have any doubts?
No.
No? Okay. Then I'll see you in the next class day after tomorrow. Take care. Please go back and revise and read the further things before you come to the class. Okay.